Page 36, Were You There? This is a spiritual piece. They have a blurb up above. That's okay. This is an old book, as you can tell by the wording in it. 4/4 time, 1 flat in the key signature. We're in the key of F major. Make sure you can do the scale for F major, at least 1 octave up and down. If you already know the scale, I'd encourage you to go ahead and go 2 octaves up and down. I explain it in the scale video. You can watch that. Let's just cover this real carefully because things get all jumbled up. See, some people think where the upper staff, that's right hand, and the lower staff is left hand. Well, there's no rule that says that. That if a note is in the upper staff, it has to be right hand, or it's just done out of convenience. Because typically the upper staff will have the higher notes and the right hand's closer to them, so you play the right hand. And same with the lower notes and the bottom staff. But it's only convenience. There's no rule for it. And this is a good example of that, the way it's written. You see the melodies in the lower staff. And I've identified the melody in this particular arrangement with dotted lines connecting the notes. That they're just pointing out the melody. The dotted lines are really not part of the music. It's just something the editor has done here to help you figure out where is the melody. Most of the time you have to figure it out yourself. But the way this is arranged is they want the right hand, see the RH, but they want the right hand to play the melody and the left hand plays everything else. Well, all of those notes in the upper staff, most of them, are going to be played by the left hand then. So the right hand is playing notes in the bottom staff, and the left hand is playing notes in the bottom staff and the upper staff. So the left hand goes crazy. You're going to love it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's very difficult because now you're looking at the music and you got to look down to see where your hand's going because your left hand is moving these. So if possible, we want to get the right hand where we don't have to focus on the right hand. It kind of takes care of itself. So let's get a fingering that works. We'll start with the right hand at the beginning. We have a 2-beat pickup, which means there should be 2 beats somewhere else in another measure because every measure has to have 4 counts in it. Well, normally it's at the end, but if you look at the end at the bottom of page 37, that's a whole note. So there is no measure anywhere that I can see that only has 2 counts in it except the pickup measure. And that's incorrect. That really is. They should have another measure at the end with 2 beats in it. They could have put a half note in another measure and then tied those notes together. Would have been simple enough. But they didn't. It doesn't affect how we play it. We're still coming in on beat 3. So right hand first. You're down here. In this position. And it's 3, 4, 1, 2. I just stay here until the first note in the second line, thumb. Now we change positions. So I played that first line all in that position. I didn't move around. That's fine. Second line, then you're here. And then 4th finger, because we have a D coming up. And then crossover. Now, first measure of the last line there on page 36. They're saying, the numbers are so small it's hard for me to read them, but I think it's a 2. That's okay if you want to do that. And then going on, it's 4th finger, reach up. And at the top of page 37, you can stay on 2 if you want. Just come down with the thumb. The third line down on page 37 is a D, just reach up. And the last line, it's a 4 and then a 1 again. And then a 1 again. And then just stay there. And then the last measure there, the whole note, the right hand's playing the top staff here. It's an A and an F. And I'll come back to that squiggly line later, just right now. So we can sort of get all what we need in the left hand and do all the moving around, we can feel it eventually. It'd be nice if you could play that without looking at the right hand to learn to play that melody. Left hand, well, that's another story. LH, you see the LH for left hand? Well, you could figure it out. I mean, if the right hand's busy with the melody, the left hand has to do the rest of it. So at the beginning, it's down here. Any finger you want to use doesn't matter. I like to use fifth finger because it's closer. I know I'm going to have to come up here, and fifth finger lets my hand be a little closer to where if I use some other finger, the hand is further away. So I typically use fifth finger. You think, well, they're just setting you up for here. It doesn't matter because you got to come up here between those notes. So I say fifth finger, and then up here, the F chord, and then you're down here, and then here, and I do a 4-2-1, and then a G, here or here, finger that any way you want, and then a C. Again, if big hands, you can do that, but otherwise, that's fine. And you do that some more. You're just doing this back and forth. It's a D flat F. There's the last note in the first line on page 36. Here. Which fingers you use, I don't care, just whatever. And then here. And then our 2-beat rests. Finally, the first measure of the second line, you get to rest on the 2 beats. Well, the idea is that the right hand has that pickup into the next phrase. Then you're going to do that some more. Watch these notes carefully because they... So work out the left hand through the whole thing. Good luck with that. And we put the hands together. You hesitate all you need to. We're not important. What we're after right now is getting the notes. We can put in the rhythm later if we need to. So we're just here to start. We're here. And then here. And as you're holding that down, you're going to play that. Because on the third beat, you're going to be here. So it's... So I'm holding that down and then... We're here. That's a weird one, but okay. Gotta watch the accidentals that get you. Now, page 37, second line, last measure. That's a half note here. Hang on to that. So it's here. Hang on to that as you play the next, and then you can play it again. So again, it's, and that note it's an F natural, G sharp, B flat. The sharp sign is supposed to be in front of the G. It's hard to see, but it is. And those accidentals are good for the whole measure, right? Again, that last line, that's a half note there, so hang on to it. Another half note. Here. But you want to get it to the point eventually where the rhythm is going on. And the idea is, how do you figure out when to look at the music and when to look at the keyboard to see where you're going? Well, hopefully you can play the right hand without having to concentrate on it too much, because you got to focus on the left hand. And what I do is I'm always looking ahead when I read music anyway. We all do, whether you know it or not. You do it. So I'm already, I know the chord I need in the right hand already. So here, once I'm here, I can just glance down. And all you got to do is glance down at the piano. I mean, you know what a keyboard looks like. You don't have to study it to see where it is. If you'll just glance at it and look back up and practice, just glance at it, you still have that picture in your mind, even with a glance. You'll find that you can actually still put your hand, it's as if you're still looking at it. I mean, I'm here. If I look down at the keyboard, I can see this. But if I'm here and I just glance down and I come back up, I can still see this. So I can still aim and get my hand where it needs to go, even though I'm not looking at the keyboard at the time. It's just a way the human mind works. And pianists take advantage of that. So you're just glancing down just to see where it is, and it's just a real quick glance down to see where you need to go. It takes practice in that, so be patient with you. But you'll work it out eventually. After a few headaches of this looking up and down all the time, I've been able to see where, glance at it, and I've developed enough feel for the keyboard where I don't even have to look down for the bottom notes. I know where they are. I just feel it. So really it's the treble clef notes I gotta look down for, and then I can stay looking at the music while I play the bottom note, or whatever the note is, and then I have to look down to see where the next note in the up here goes. You work it out slowly. Be very, very, very patient on that one. But when you can do that, then you get it where the rhythm is steady, nice and slow. Just nice and slow, your speed, whatever speed you think it needs to be. As far as the articulation, there really isn't much of any. Phrasing for the melodies. So try and put in the phrases. Lift up is just a gentle lift up. It's like taking a breath between the phrases. And you can hear the phrasing. Lift up. Between the phrases. The left hand is just going back and forth. Don't worry about it. Just do the best you can with the left hand. It's not staccato, but you can't play it really legato either. Then at the end, that squiggly line, there's one on each staff here. And when they make a chord like this, there's different ways of interpreting these squiggly lines. In this situation, these make a nice chord. It's an F chord. I'm going to pretend the squiggly line is connected between the staves. Sometimes it is. So I'm going to play all four notes, one note at a time. See, sometimes when the notes are far apart and they're done this way, I do them together. Let's say if I had this and this, I do them together. Roll them both at the same time. But when they're closer together like this, I treat it just as one chord. I don't do it together. No, it's four notes one at a time. And because this is a slow piece, then I would roll it very slowly. Maybe like quarter note. Very slowly. Because how fast you roll a rolled chord is based on interpretation, how you interpret the piece. What's the mood of the piece? And if it's a really fast piece, you do it quickly. A really slow piece like this, a really emotional piece, you do it slowly. You can even hesitate on the last note just a hair. It's called an agogic accent. Dynamic-wise, these are suggestions, and it applies to the melodies. Moderately soft. The left hand has to be very soft, whatever it's. You get the idea? So it's the melody we're after. At the top of page 37, they give you a crescendo. Well, you can bring the left hand up a little bit to help with that. Moderately soft to start page 37, and go up. You go up to about a moderately loud. Don't get loud. See, lay into those a little more. And then soften back down. At the end of the second line, I want you to come up again. They don't have anything to tell you to get quieter. You've gone up at the end of the second line. They want you to stay there. That's a way of interpreting it, but you don't have to do that. You can come back down, and you get louder and softer as you feel it. Get into the melody, get into the emotion of the music, and you'll feel it that way. At the end, I suggest you come down, because of course, this arrangement, the way it's written, you could stay up louder because you're going up the keyboard. You're here, and then here, and then here. You're just like, So you can stay louder if you want, or you can get softer if you want. Experiment with both and see what you like. Sometimes I would play it getting louder, and sometimes I would play it getting softer. Well, it's pretty choppy, so we need this pedal to help us smooth this out. And that's really what we're doing with the pedal. So we're going to use overlapping pedal like they're showing, but I would still like to hear the phrasing in the right hand. So when I get to the end of a phrase, I might lift the pedal up with that right hand so we hear that silence. So the pedal is going to lag behind the hands. And I'm going to change it, it looks like every 2 beats. There, I'm going to lift it up with the right hand, so a little silence before I go on. And I'm not pedaling those 2 beats. This is the first measure, second line. I only pedal the first 2 beats of it. And lift up. Now. And it'd be nice to hear that phrase here. So I'll lift the pedal up there. You have a choice in the first line, last measure of page 37. You can lift up so you hear a phrase. Or if you'd rather just smear all that together, it's up to you. The third line, first measure, that's you're going to hold that down. I would still lift the pedal up with the left hand, so I hear like a breath here. Just smear it all, connect it all together. And at the end, then the pedal and the hands come up together. That's my impression of the pedal. It's close to what they're saying in the book, but I like to hear the phrasing sometimes. And it's like in the first measure, or the second line on page 36. I don't pedal the last 2 beats. I didn't pedal the pickup notes. So I don't want to pedal this either, because it's just a pickup to the next phrase. I don't pedal that either. I mean, there's some other things in here I would like to remove the pedal on, but because the left hand is going crazy, I can't. I need it to connect the left hand. As far as speed goes, I think what I just did is a good speed, but you have to be your speed, so you decide. It's certainly not fast. Largo is slow. It is really slow. I'd like to play this and have you play along with me, maybe one hand at a time if you need to. I'll try and pedal it as I described. It's just to check notes and rhythms, not going to do any dynamics. So I'll give us 2 counts. I'm going to go ready, go. That's 2 counts. And then we go slowly. Ready, go.